Hey, good morning everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss Pre-Market Report for January 22nd, 2018. Happy Monday everyone. I'm Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. Right now you see price basically holding inside Friday's range in a very narrow range overall up here at these highs. As a matter of fact, right here I have the ADR indicator set to a one-day look back here. And you can see today's bar down here is the fuchsia or magenta colored bar. That tells you that we're way below the 65% of average range here. And basically we're trading at about 40% of ADR. We've been at about 21.75 points per day on a 10-day average. On a 5-day average, we've been trading at about 26 points per day, but today we're at an 8 and 0.75 point range for the day. So very, very narrow overall. We got to continue to watch the intraday range. The key range here that was set several days ago, that's going to be the key range to watch for expansion and a continuation toward targets that it projects. So keep an eye on that one. If you take a look here at the NQ, very similar as well. We have the key range here set by that impulse move several days back on the 16th here. And we've yet to really see a full-on expansion from that range, but we've been trading in the upper distribution. An upside break could spark a nice continuation toward the target of that range. So keep an eye on that key range as well. Any pullback would still likely be defended as the PIMA trigger zone is approaching higher levels, and we continue to see LVN support as well. All right, let's take a look at crude oil. Now, we talked about last week that crude oil was rejecting 63s for a shot at continuing higher, perhaps retesting 65s, if not continuing even beyond that. But really, Friday was a weak bounce attempt off of 63s. There were a couple of bounces that were meaningful that could have provided at least some T1 targets in order to scale and get to break even and those types of things. But really, we really didn't see a whole lot of bounce. We didn't really see this thing reclaim prices back above 63.75. And you can see today here, beginning in overnight trading, we're seeing price push below the rejection day midpoint. So again, we might come down and retest prices below 63s and perhaps even get farther into the LVN here, which is about 62.50. So right now, we could see further defense in this area before we see a bounce. If we were to see a bounce, look for a push into 65s. And from there, we could see either a range develop or a continuation. So right now, what's important is this LVN. As price comes downward, bulls will still look to defend, but this might be, unless price can pop back above that midpoint there, crude oil bulls may have a tough time finding support here. So we'll continue to watch this one very closely off that support level. If you take a look here at gold futures, this one I've mentioned before is kind of tricky here. We've had some high quality movement here. After that movement, we've seen a stall followed by a squeeze and kind of another stall. Typically speaking, this type of behavior lends itself to new highs, another push higher. We've come a long way since taking out those 1240s way back, trading at 1340 now, getting a high as 1345 last week. That's pretty significant. So again, we might be getting close to the top end of this move, but for right now, it appears that we could be looking at further strength to the upside given this pattern. If there's any failure to hold, say 1330, again, that could run the stops back down and we would take out the recent pivot low into about 1305. But right now, everything points to 1330 remaining the major pivot, and if so, we got a target at 1354 and as high as 1360s up above. Last one to take a look at real quickly is XBT, the SIBO futures. I mentioned before that there was a first time rejection down here below 11,300 that we were looking for as low as 9,000. We got as low as 92.50 on that move. And then I mentioned that there was a 2-day holding period here, which is not bad, but you got to get a continuation to the upside. You got to get a push through those recent highs in a stop run day. And right now what we were noticing Friday is this has been a pretty weak bounce back above the zone. And so that could spark another big push downward here, where 6,700 becomes the next major target down below. And so again, we got to continue to watch this area here where the LVN is very prominent. If price can't get back above that zone, then you're likely going to see another dump right back down. So the big level to watch in this instance is going to continue to be the midpoint of this rejection day here. That's 10,510. So basically 10,500 is kind of the key level there. That's the level that really needs to hold. If 10,500 really starts to give, it's almost a sure thing that we're going to start dropping down through 9,000. So we got to continue to watch this area very closely. Again, if prices can get above the LVN, above these recent highs, that could lead to a squeeze or some sort of stop run that gets you back toward value and the midpoint of the key range. But up until now, this is the most important level to watch to begin the week. All right, that's it for now. Let's see how these play out heading into the rest of the week of trading. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you soon.